Continuing along with our tour of middleware components, I'd like to talk about a few components right now that will let us support receiving post data and then receiving cookies and sessions. We saw in a previous lesson that you can actually use the streams interface in Node to get the data from the incoming post body, and then you can actually parse it using, I think it was the query string module built into Node.js. Fortunately, we don't need to do that anymore because there is a middleware component that will do it for us. So what I'd like to do now is temporarily stop working with our photo sharing application, and let's make a folder called post. And I'm going to cheat and just install Express directly here without using a package.json, just because I want to quickly show you some stuff. So I'm going to go to post, and let's write a function or a file called body.js. So express equals require, express var app equals express, and then we need to listen like that. Now let's verify that it did install correctly. Yep, we've got express. So let's go ahead here, and the middleware component we're going to use to get the body taken care of for us is called body parser. Like that, and it puts the results, it puts the parsed body in rec.body like that. So to be able to view that, we can say app.post, and we'll just say anything you post to us, let's print that out. So I'm going to say res.end json.stringify rec.body, and let's be sociable and add a new line like that. Okay. So I should be able to now say node body. Now, I can still use the curl to test out post bodies and send form data with my request. I can do curl-x post, and then I can use the form flag to do this. So I can say username equals mark1, form email address equals mark1 at example.org, and I can even send data with spaces by saying favorites equals cats and kittens like that, and then localhost 8080. And you'll see we just get our post body data parsed and sent back to us as JSON, which is absolutely fantastic. So all of that code we had before for parsing and receiving HTML bodies, or the HTTP request bodies, we don't need any of that anymore. It's done for us for free. To support cookies in our applications using Express and Connect, we're going to use a middleware component called Cookie Parser, like this. What it does is it takes the cookies that the browser sends and puts them in rec.cookies like that. Now, to test this out and to demonstrate it to you, we're actually going to use the web browser because it's a lot easier to work with than curl is for sending cookies back to the server and everything. So I'm going to add a new route here for star, and I'm going to give it a function recres. Now I'm first going to, since I'm working in the browser, I'm going to write a header and say that we're using text HTML like this, and then I'm going to res.write json.stringify rec.cookies. And since I am working in the browser, I'll do a new line like that, and then res.end thanks for calling. Okay, now to set cookies, I will use a function called res.cookie. It is very important, however, to remember that res.cookie must come before you write anything else to the response object, so we need to put it up here. You give it the name of the cookie, the value, and you can optionally specify a max age, and we want it to be valid for 1 day, and in JavaScript we use milliseconds. Okay, so when I run the server, the first time I call it in the browser should send back to the server that it has no cookies. The server will print out, okay, probably that it has no cookies, but then we'll send down a cookie with the response so that the next time we call it, we should see that cookie value sent to us. Let's try that out. I'm going to go to the browser. I'm going to go localhost 8080. And you see, indeed, the first time we go to the server, the browser is not sending any cookies because it doesn't have any, but it got one back with the response. So the next time we call the server, we should be passing in the correct cookie value. That's great. You can actually sort of see cookie values that the server is sending back to you from curl, however, by just printing out the response headers. And here you see that we are getting the set cookie header with the correct value, and we are getting our maximum age and sort of a timeout of now plus 1 day, which is absolutely fantastic. To clear a cookie value that we don't want anymore, you can use the clear cookie function on the response object. Okay, that should remove the cookie. I don't know if you were noticing though, whereas for the body, we would always, the body and the cookies are coming in on the request object, but the way we set cookies and clear cookies is on the response object because they are actually just headers on the response. So let's try to clear this cookie pet. We'll restart our server here, and we'll go back to the browser, and we should have it sent one more time, but now we sent the clear cookie instruction. So you'll see now, indeed, it was cleared out for us. So that's the basics of working with cookies. To implement sessions in our Express and Connect-based web applications, I'm going to use the middleware component session, which is pretty intuitive, I guess. I actually do need to give it some options. I can give it an optional password or a sort of secret key which it uses to sign the session data so that people sniffing the network traffic can't view it so easily, and I recommend doing this. So cat on keyboard, something that only your server will know and can just provide some light security. You can also pass in some cookie options, and I'm going to pass in a max age here as well, saying I want my sessions to be valid for 1 day. And then finally, you need a memory store. Session data, sessions are a way for the server to remember a particular user from a particular browser, and they do that with the session cookie. And one of the cool things about sessions means that I can actually have some data tied to that particular user remembered on the server. And so to use the session middleware component, I need to come up with some place to put that data, and by default I can use an in-memory store called express.session.memory store, like that. And so that gives me some place to actually remember the session data that comes in with a particular user. So I'm still going to do text.html. I don't care so much about the cookies anymore. The way I get my session data is it is always on rec.session, like that. Okay? So I can actually say var s equals json.stringify rec.session. And now I can actually just set values on rec.session, and they will be remembered and written to the memory store later on for when the user comes back. So I want to now say rec.session.lastVisit equals new date.now. And all right, let's not even do that. Let's just do date.now. That's good enough. Okay, so now I'm going to write out text HTML, and I just want to write out the string, and let's say last visit plus s, like that. So no, actually we'll just print out the s since it's a JSON object. Okay, so we should now be able to update session data and have the server remember the last time the user came in, and that gives us a way to sort of always associate some data with the user. So let's restart our server here. Now you'll see we don't actually have a last visit yet because this is the first time that the user was coming and getting some session data. But you'll see now we always have a last visit, and as we refresh the page, that value is updating itself correctly. So that's the basics of working with post body data, cookies, and session data in Node. And in the next part, we'll take a quick look at uploading files.